The man accused of murdering Utah College student Mackenzie Lueck is expected to make his first court appearance today. Ayoola Ajayi is charged with aggravated murder, aggravated kidnapping, desecration of a body, and obstruction of justice. 23-year-old Mackenzie Lueck was last seen taking a lift from the Salt Lake City airport to a park at 3 a.m. where she allegedly met up with the suspect. And police say the two were communicating before she disappeared. Let's bring in Bob Bianchi, former prosecutor and host of the Law and Crime Network. So what can we expect in court today, Bob?
It's pretty simple, Mike. You go in, you enter a plea of not guilty, you recognize that you know the charges that are against you, and the prosecutor and the defense agree to exchange information. So it's really a formality of a proceeding, but obviously in a case with grave consequences.
Seems to be strong evidence against the defendant. Investigators found female human tissue in a burn pit on his property. That tissue matches the DNA of Lueck. I mean, could this rise to a death penalty case?
Well, the evidence is strong. You have cell phone records that are going to geospatially map all these phones where they're going. As you indicated, they have her DNA in that fire pit, which the neighbors were saying smelled horrible. And then in another location, they found her belongings, by the way, by his house, adjacent to where his house was. And then at another location, her body is found in a shallow grave. It'll be very interesting to see if they can get some DNA or trace evidence at that scene as well. So given that, it's a strong case, and it is the kind of case that a prosecutor will look at as an aggravating case to go for the death penalty, especially because she was tied, she was kidnapped allegedly, and those are what we call aggravating factors that justify seeking the death penalty, Mike.
Yeah, Leslie, these are some pretty brutal details, to say the least. What about where the body was found? What could the evidence tell us there?
Yeah, that's my most fascinating thing that I want to know right now. I'd be able to I loved it when I was prosecutor and I had all the details, and but now we don't have the value of that. But let me just put it this way. It is very difficult to dispose of a body in that fashion without getting some what we call trace evidence. That could be DNA from him, hair, fibers from clothing, things of that nature. So I would expect that these investigators are going to go with a fine-tooth comb. They seem to have done a very thorough job, and they're definitely going to try to look for evidence that connects him to that gravesite, and then that would make it a wow of a case for the prosecutors.
With all that said, what could be his defense?
Well, you know, as a defense attorney, you're going to try to do one thing, try to get him out of the death penalty. As a death penalty litigator for the prosecutor's office, I know what defense attorneys do is try to keep him alive another day, another hour, another minute. So they're really going to go more towards mitigation to say that he should not be executed. You know, like that, Mike, on the Law and Crime Network, when we're going over a lot of cases, just recently, a jury on a penalty case, in a case that I thought was one of the most horrific ones that I've ever seen, came back at the end of the day with a life sentence. So the defense lawyers in a case like this just try to keep him alive.
Got it. All right, Bob, always good seeing you. Thanks so much.
Okay, Mike.